Hello and welcome to the Aapna Reds Podcast, the podcast that brings you everything you'd expect from a normal podcast, but with the added Diwali patake that you can expect from us Aapna here at the Aapna Reds Podcast. And as always, to talk about everything Liverpool on a week where we had some highs and lows, and in a week where we were able to celebrate with a bang, Liverpool come away with a 3-0 win over Brentford. Anil, thank you for joining us again, and thank you.
No problem, man.
For how well you've been doing with all these predictions, how well you've been getting into the players' heads, because it seems
man. I don't know how well the predictions are, but I'm loving the results. I'm loving the performances. I'm sure we'll get into it, but yeah, man, happy days. That's why we both got smiles on our faces today.
I know we're not grumpy, not moody, nothing like that.
That's it, man.
Better now.
No, man, let's go. Let's get
Let's
into
get
it.
into it then. So Brentford 3-0. We talked about it last week. I think we had it down as a tight game, a difficult game. Klopp himself had said, Brentford are a really good team. They're a difficult team to play against. So 3-0, obviously, it's a flattering scoreline. Obviously, I think we did play pretty well. But at the same time, what do you think about the game? What do you sort of look at how it panned out in the end?
I don't know. Everyone's saying it's a flattering scoreline, but we had chances. Nunes again could have probably had a hat-trick. Salah could have had a hat-trick. Jota could have had a couple. We played well. We played really well. Don't get me wrong. There was a couple of chances the other end as well, but we got we got Alisson Becker, the beast in goal, who obviously just keeps on smashing it with his performances. Most underrated goalkeeper in the world. Obviously not by Liverpool fans, but obviously UEFA and their awards and whatever. But yeah, man, I thought we were talking about it and we thought it was going to be a tough game, but watching it, I didn't feel like at any point during that game that we were struggling or we were going to let in stupid goals and then start chasing the game. It was quite a comfortable watch, if I'm honest. I don't know, what do you reckon?
I agree with you. I think, to me, it felt like the Villa game earlier on in the season.
Yeah.
That's early on, got the early goal. And from there, it just seemed comfortable. Obviously, again, they had a few chances. And I think the big thing was seeing how Liverpool coped with the counter for me. Because against Luton, that was a main sort of threat that Luton had. And obviously, they score off it. If we look then at the game midweek against Toulouse, same again, just counter-attacking and just scoring off the chances they got given. So, there's a few early chances, like you said. But Mr. Alisson, the Brazilian Jap, every single time, he just gets it done. And like you said, I think that it was one of those games where, I think as we mentioned before, we don't want Liverpool to be having to play in 4th, 5th gear. To me, it's so early on in the season when we don't. You'd much prefer in 3rd and just playing well and just doing stuff and not having, to
save some in the tank, as they say. Save some in the tank.
Of course, because of how frequent the games. Obviously, we're going to an international break now, but we've seen games every 3-4 days, and the players, you can tell, especially this weekend again where we had a thin squad. Players missing out, suspension, injuries, stuff like that. So I agree with you. I think it's one of those performances. It won't go down in the history books, but it's just one of the games that Liverpool needed, especially.
I think if you want, I mean, the point you made there is perfect, man. We're not in our top gear yet, and you got to look at teams like Tottenham. Tottenham have started off top gear, and they've been amazing, and they've been top of the table, and they've been smashing it. And all of a sudden, you drop it down a notch. Look what happens, and they've just gone from hero to zero within a couple of games, and that's all it takes. I think perfect for Liverpool. We are not yet gelling.
Yeah.
That's crazy to say because we're 1 point off City at the top of the table. We got a brand new midfield. They don't really know how to play together, but they are playing well. Our front six, whoever's playing, they're getting the goals, but there's no like Suarez and I forgot his name now. The presenter on Sky Sports. We used to be up front with Suarez. Studge. Sorry, man.
I was about to say,
I'm getting old, man.
Storage, the SAS, mate.
Yeah, that's what I mean, man. I'm getting old. Look, I'm losing my hair. I'm losing my flipping marbles as well. When them two were up front, you just knew it doesn't matter what the rest of the team are going to do. Them two are going to know exactly what to do, where to pass, how to score. SAS, you put Sterling in there as well when he was part of that front trio. They were the best in the world. We've got 6 at the front now who aren't, I would say, best in the world. As if they were, they'd be getting the nominations. So they're not best in the world, but they're coming up trumps, and every single game, one of them scoring at least one goal, which is scary to think that when they start gelling. Can you imagine?
Yeah.
Can you imagine if Nunes starts putting some of these sitters away?
Stop
Can you imagine if
standing offside as well?
If Salah actually looks like if he starts to actually play like he gives a shit. It looks like he doesn't at the moment, but he's still banging in the goals. You know what I mean? His numbers are crazy for someone who's probably not on form yet. And Jota, your boy.
Yeah, I know.
He keeps banging him in, man.
Every single week. I told you, I've backed this man for long enough, and he's paying it.
I might start coming over to your side a little bit.
You have to get on side because he gets it done every single time.
He's starting to impress me, man. He's starting to impress me a lot more.
And I think the point that you made there, talking about the sort of connections coming between the three of them. I think Liverpool and Jota, Nunes, and Salah are second in the league when it comes to goals scored between them. Obviously, United's attack are at the bottom of the league because they aren't doing as great as, even though they spend a lot more money than we have when it comes to the attacking force. But we'll save that for another time.
I think that could be a whole podcast on its own, man. We
don't want to upset them. We don't want to upset them. They're happier now.
Top team on form at the moment, apparently.
Yeah, of course, they're doing well. Everyone loves a 1-0 against Luton, so it means you're back on top when your rivals are drawn to them the week before. But we don't want to get them into this. Let's leave them out of it. Let's go back to the main man. Mr. Nunes, Mr. Nana Nunes. Like you said, I think it's a point worth talking about, and I think I noticed it in the past few weeks. But him and Salah have a connection, which I think it's. It almost gives me like Gerrard and Torres vibes in a weird way because, every single time either of them gets the ball, they're looking for the other one. Obviously, it's not at sort of that level that Gerrard and Torres were, but it's becoming that sort of thing where that if Nunes gets the ball, it's going straight to someone. That is Salah. And the same with Salah. And we saw it that, Nunes gets the ball into his feet. Quick touch, and I think that's the most impressive thing. That was
a great touch, man.
Immense, wasn't it? I think that is why Minamino, for example, just to throw it back a bit, he was so good when he played in that position because his touch was so great, and that's why we struggled when we didn't have that. And Firmino was great with the ball, but his first touch sometimes did let him down. But Nunes, he's getting it, trapping it, and just playing it off. And I think they're forming such a great bond that it's scary when, like you said, Nunes puts a tap in his way or starts standing on side.
I mean, as a number 10, even though he's not a number 10, as a number 10, if let's say Salah was number 9, he's doing an amazing job. And if that was his role, and that was what we're basing his, plaudits off, then we'd be like, he's smashing it. He's absolutely smashing it. Him and Salah are probably out of the front, like we said, front six, probably the ones who are kind of starting to figure each other out.
Yeah.
Nunes, I swear, man, I can't hate on this guy. I know he can't score, you know what I mean? He can't score in a brothel, wherever the old saying is, but he is literally on fire. I know he's not, he should be Haaland ×2 in terms of goals, but I can't knock him, man. I can't knock him. Every time he's on the pitch, there is excitement. And I think him just missing the shots as well are excitement. But yeah, going back to that pass he just mentioned, I was just watching the highlights again just before the pod. Unbelievable, man. Just do you think he saw him coming or is instinctive?
I think that's the thing, though, isn't it? You can tell, obviously, earlier on in the season, it probably was having to look up, but he didn't even think. He just knew that it was going to be there. Obviously, he sees the run through the corner of his eye, but
that's what I mean. I think he saw the gap. I think he saw the gap and he thought, what? I can see Salah.
I think the instinct is definitely coming into it now. You can tell that Nunes is an instinct player, simple as. When he feels like shooting, he'll shoot, and when he feels like passing, he'll pass. So now that's becoming more and more effective.
I think I think we've said this before, haven't we? If we had Jota's shooting ability, he'd be number 1 striker in the world.
Definitely.
Number 1 striker in the world.
No, Nunes is getting Oceano now. He's understanding the game. He's getting.
You know what it is, man? You can forgive him. We call him Nonna because if it was your Nonna and he was on the way to the toilet and he accidentally shit himself, you wouldn't start like berating him. You'd be like, it's not nine, you know what I mean? Or if he goes to the kitchen and starts putting the Bondi in the sink but accidentally misses and drops it on the floor, it's not nine. Let him get away with it, man. You know, I think it's the same. It's the same with Nunes. I'm letting him get away with it because all the other joy that he brings us is just unbelievable, man. And the excitement that he brings just watching him. The commentators, they're all the same. Like, regardless of whether he scores or not, it's such an exciting and difficult. I think Neville said it a few times. He'd hate to play against him.
Yeah.
He would absolutely hate to play against him because he doesn't stop running.
No.
And he's got some pace. He's got some frightening pace.
He's, like you said, he's coming into his own. He really is just ecstatic, and I am really excited to just see.
Do you think he'll get it this season? Do you reckon he'll get to the point where we think he can?
Look at how he started this year. I mean, pre-season he was scoring goals for fun.
Yeah.
You know, I look at the Newcastle game as a point where I thought those are chances in those 2 goals he scored that he'd have not even got anywhere near the season before.
Yeah.
And then there's chances in between. Obviously, he's missed, but he's learning so fast. He's putting them away. So he's got, you know, all the support and confidence of everyone, you know, the fans and sort of the players as well.
I love the fans' response to him, man.
Exactly. I think 12 games in, if he's playing like this and he's, you know, connecting with the team and players around him like this, you know, I think later on in this season, he's going to be on fire. And I think that he's going to be vital for wherever Liverpool are sort of challenging for when it comes to the later.
He's getting the proper Scouts treatment in it. When everyone else is against him and taking the piss out of him, the Scouts is up 100% backing him and chanting his name. And I bet that does a lot for his confidence.
Definitely.
Must do.
Because he is, like we said, he's an instant player. He's a confident player. And I think, you know, obviously we know it's difficult for players to come over and settle, you know, in Liverpool and sort of the team. We know that. But I think the South American influence in the team and the fact that everyone adores him, you can tell that he's really feeling a lot more comfortable. I don't know if you saw, though, he did a video yesterday with McAllister and they're asking about Liverpool's history and he had absolutely no clue. And I think it sums up none. You were saying is you just have to, like, it's none. I think they asked him how many Champions Leagues the Liverpool won and he just said 3. And the person looked at him like, what are you on about? And they asked him, like, how many Premier Leagues Liverpool won or league titles Liverpool won? And he was like, 1. And like McAllister again's looking at him going, what are you on about, man? So I think he needs to brush up on that. But like you said, he's Nana, you know.
You know what, man? I can't even knock him for it, man. Can't even knock him for it. We don't buy players for their history knowledge. We buy it for their if we did,
because if we were judging him, Nunes, he'd be straight out the door. But maybe get into his ear, tell him to read up a bit more. Yeah. But I think he's got a long stay.
Do you think he came to the right club?
I mean, where else was he going to go?
He knows who he signed for.
I mean, you never know. He could have gone to United. Could have gone everywhere. You know, it's just I'm just glad he's with us because God, actually, it's a point worth talking about because I think. You know, a lot has sort of been made about United and the other teams. And like if you look at Chelsea, obviously players going there, and Chelsea was sort of interested in him. But if you look at United, you know, Sancho, 70, 80 million pound player, one of, you know, England's probably greatest talents we've seen in the past decade. Again, one of the best young players. And he was given a season or 2, and they're still on his case straight away. All the fans didn't give him a chance. I don't think Nunes would have survived at a Chelsea or United or even a Man City when it comes to it, the whole treatment and how he performed in that first season. And I just think he would have been a shell of a player. You agree with that?
Yeah, 100%. I think Klopp and the team are very good at giving players chances over and over and over again because it's hard. How can you? I know these players get paid a lot of money and they come for a lot of money, and you do. There is a certain expectation, but it's like any job in the world. If you leave where you were doing a really good job and you go to a new place, there's a settling in period. It doesn't matter what job it is. And football at the highest level has got to be the most scrutinized job there is in terms of, you know, there's millions and millions of people watching one person who's in front of a goal about to take a shot. And if you miss, it's just going to be complete chaos. And to have that on your shoulders and then carry on after, it is hard. And I'm glad, again, that Liverpool are that kind of club where you don't get the animosity. If a player's playing shit, they'll get better. They'll get given time. And and the support. And our fans are good, man. You know what? They are good. I know there's there's a lot of negative to say about our fans sometimes, with like chanting certain things at certain times of the year. But when it comes to our own personal team and our players, I don't think there's anyone better. And that goes without saying. Every player who's ever played at Anfield is like, that is a different place. It's a different world.
Definitely. And I think that's a big thing when we look at the midfield at the moment. I think it's a point worth talking about as well. Obviously, we know we've had quite a few new faces in that midfield and they've needed the support and settling in period. This week, no McAllister, someone we keep talking about, and he's not, sort of adapted as well as he could. I mean, he said himself, the position he's playing is not the position he's playing. But what did you make of the midfield this week? And obviously, we stick Endo in, the man that we got in as a out-and-out CDM, but not as us. Obviously, Szoboszlai goes into that midfield, and Gakpo as well, sort of added in there as an extra player. What did you make of that midfield? Because to me, I thought it was quite impressive, how Endo played, and I think that anchor position that he played meant that Trent could get into the game. It meant Szoboszlai didn't have control the game as much as he has to, and I think Gakpo played much better as well than midfielders before.
As a midfielder, Gakpo had a really good game.
Yeah.
So if we're basing him based on what we'd expect our midfield to do, he won a lot of challenges. He was very strong. He held the ball really well. The passing was amazing. So I think he actually won. He won the ball for the Salah goal, the one that Núñez gave to him. He actually won that ball.
He won that ball back. Yeah.
And I can't knock his performance. He was really good as a midfielder. Endo, like you said, 100% love that signing, and I love the player. I don't think he's world class, but I think he's doing a job for us at the moment.
Yeah.
There were a couple of dodgy challenges. Obviously, there's one that he got away with. But to be fair, I'll say got away with. It wasn't a sending off. I know they checked it. He had a good game. He's only going to get better.
100%.
I mean, he's had games for Japan and whatnot, and man of the match performances, and he was really highly rated in Germany. So that only comes with minutes, and the more minutes he's going to get, the better he's going to get. So again, loving that signing, loving the way he's playing, and he's only going to get better. Szoboszlai, do you think he's getting tired? Do you think we're overusing him?
I think that's the next sort of point of conversation is with the issues that we have in midfield, can you start to see sort of the tiredness in it? Obviously, midweek, the players that played in that team weren't like the B team. There were some strong players in that team. Obviously, Trent plays, Szoboszlai plays. Obviously, the big guns have to come on later on. Yeah. And I think definitely he's becoming not tired, but I just think sometimes he needs a break. And he's
relied on too much, I think. I think we're relying on him in midfield too much.
And I think that's where you need that depth. Obviously, you can't play. And I think that's why this weekend was great in terms of the fact that he didn't have to play the box-to-box role, running like a headless the entire game. He just got to play a relaxed game, picking some passes, winning the ball back, because he knew that he had Endo there and then the whole back line and Trent really coming around and covering as well. Whereas normally it's almost a two-man press with him and McAllister. So if you lose the ball, you're sort of screwed, basically. And
There's two ways of thinking of this, and I don't know which one's true. So one I've already mentioned, is he getting tired? Two, can he motivate himself against teams like Luton and Brentford? And he's looking at the team sheets and he's thinking, who the fuck are these lot? But we got Man City coming up. I'm thinking, is he going to step up his game and is he going to show everyone why he's the bad boy signing that we've all been raving about? I think we'll find out next Saturday. But yeah, this game he was a bit quiet. He's a bit quiet. And he wasn't as energetic as he normally is. And again, could be tiredness, could be motivation, but he wasn't the same player that we know he can be.
Yeah.
So out of the midfield, I'd say he probably, by his own standards, didn't play as well as he could. Endo played well. Gakpo did a wicked job for us.
But if you think he's a talisman for Hungary as well, he's a talisman for Liverpool. You know, if you think the last international break, he was sort of incredible for Hungary then, relied on him then. He's then played 5, 6, 7 games where he's been the main man. But
Taran, for against the smaller teams, is he hungry enough?
Well, I knew you were going
to. Come on, that's a good one, isn't it?
Maybe he's taken from Mixie, sort him out then. He won't be. God, that's what it is. You ever take him for a mixed grill? That's what it is.
Hungry man from Hungary. That's what we need.
I do agree with you, though. I think it's the same thing of how many players in our team have that hunger, not on top of Sobbers. Like,
Yeah. And to be fair, that's why I always think we lose against the smaller teams.
Yeah.
It's just that the motivation is not as much. There's no like animosity. I think the players always step up a game when there's a derby or there's a lot at stake. And sometimes, going away to Luton, I keep mentioning that. Bournemouth as well. I mean, Bournemouth on a small team, but still, considering where we are and where they are, the players probably can't motivate themselves enough. Brentford, I thought, might have been one of those games where the players just didn't motivate themselves, but luckily, our quality was just, immense compared to theirs, and it was an easy game. It was an easy game in the end.
Yeah. Well, then let's sum it up then with our favourite section of the week when it comes to these games. Who are you taking for a mixed grill then, and who are you going to give a Chibir to, or if not, why not?
Mixie, it's got to be Salah. For me, it's got to be Salah. The geezer just keeps on banging in goals week after week. He looks like he should be, the way he plays, it looks like he's probably eating the mixed grill on the pitch whilst playing. You know what I mean? He's probably got a little table on the corner somewhere. He's munching away. The ball comes to him. He effortlessly just knocks it in, goes back to his table and starts eating again. So, Mixie man of the match, Mo Salah, king.
Yeah. Great chance. You'd have to make sure you get him a king-size mixed grill then, just to make up.
He can have whatever the he wants.
Is it on your card? That's the most.
The Egyptian king comes to the mixed grill. He gets whatever he wants. But yeah, you know what? I don't think we rave about him enough. No. I know maybe that's making us sound a bit negative. We do rave about him. We know how good he is, but we're so used to him being good.
Yeah.
I think we kind of forget on a weekly basis that he's fucking good.
100%. I definitely agree with you. I think we don't make enough of how good he is because it's freak nature. Obviously, to see someone do it over and over again, season after season.
Yeah, it becomes normality, doesn't it?
It's so obscene. And I think, like you said, we do take it for granted sometimes at Liverpool. And as fans, when you look at other teams and you look at players not performing as well as they can, I think you're reminded, God, we've got a right little king, a little gem in our team.
And he scored a header.
I know. You wouldn't have thought Mo Salah scoring a header, eh? But
what the most calmest header I've ever seen in a football match.
I don't know about you, but when he finishes, everything just feels like it's in slow motion. I don't know.
Yeah, it did. That one did. That one genuinely felt like it was slow motion.
Yeah, it just sort of dinked it in, and you think, well, how many goals has he scored like that, where it just feels like he's taken a shot or he's made a finish, and it just goes so slowly. It's
that went so slow. I'm sure Alisson Becker could have ran from his side all the way to the other goal and made a save. That's how good he is.
Probably could have, but I agree with you. It's just calm, composed, and I do think we take him for granted. That said, though, I'm not taking him for a mixed grill this week.
Well, who are you taking?
I think I've got to take. I'm torn now because I feel like there's one man that we might need to take just to keep him happy and just because you upset him.
I think I know who you're on about. Go on.
Or there's another man who I think you've cussed out a bit. It's both two people you've cussed out that I think need.
Fair, yeah, I know exactly who you're on about. So you talk about your boy Jota, yeah, and you're talking about your boy Van Dijk, yeah.
Virgil Van Dijk, El Capitano. I think they've got to come this week.
They had a good game.
Before they jet off Portugal, Netherlands, wherever they go to, I think we've got to take them some food because, turned it on.
Can't disagree with that. And there's, I think it was such a good performance. We can't really argue with any of the nominations this week. But yeah, you're right. Jota's goal was class.
Incredible. And like we've said before, he just comes up.
I know.
Either it's a little tap in or it's just, even midweek as well, he skins a few, takes it past and puts it, past the goalkeeper like it's nothing. And then this.
You know what? He must know that he's about to get subbed off. And then he just bangs in a goal and goes, look, man, let me just let everyone know I'm still here. Yeah. I'm still here, don't worry.
He just comes out of nowhere and he just never stops running as well. He's another one who's never stops running.
Yeah.
Always gets a goal when Liverpool need it and even when he just feels like scoring as well. And I think he's so underrated. And I when obviously he came over at the time, it was like, why the heck is he signing Diogo Jota? He really has been a revelation.
Does he look pissed off to you, though?
I think that's what it is, though. Like, I think
he looks pissed off to me.
I think you know what it is. Obviously, he likes a bit of PlayStation, likes a bit of FIFA and stuff like that. I think it pisses him off that he has to go to work on the weekend when he could just be sat at home playing PlayStation. He goes in thinking, why the hell do I have to be here playing it when I can go home and play it? So he gets that anger out on the pitch, then goes home and takes it out if it's a loss or a win on the PlayStation when he gets back. I think that's what it is, you know.
Oh, man, it's just I
know.
He's keeping me at bay with the negative comments because he keeps scoring and he keeps playing well. So fair play to him. And you know what, Van Dijk is your other nomination. You know what? I apologise for my previous comments because he has come back with a bang.
He's got some. He must have gone to like a bandit or something and got some like mileage done or something because he's back. Nothing looks like it's been out of place. And
I'm telling you, someone's played the podcast to him. I'm telling you.
I reckon they might have. I reckon you that much they thought. It wasn't Rio Ferdinand's comments, wasn't that? It was definitely.
Who in the squad do you reckon would listen to Aapna Reds?
I feel like Alisson probably would. He feels, he's one of those that he's got his like Brazilian.
He looks like he could be on here.
That's what I mean. He when I always say it, he is a Brazilian gentleman. He's the most fun bunda I've ever met. Like he loves a bit of like go down the part. He loves some barbecue. He just loves like tandoori stuff like that. And he's just a family man. I just don't think there's, and he loves his music as well. Like, come on, man.
And he's got the big Japan hands as well because they keep stopping all the goals, man.
And he's nothing but excellent. So you can tell he's an Aapna, or he's got Aapna morals in somewhere. So if anything, it's definitely going to be Alisson. And I wouldn't complain because that man is something else.
Right. Yeah, everyone could have had a mixture this week, to be fair. We could have had a party.
Well, that's the thing. We've gone from having players picking them out individually. No. It might have to be a big platter that we take and go give it to them because I feel bad leaving people out at this point.
Car park session, man. We might have to be a car park session.
That's what we'll have to do. We'll have to start.
Plastic cups.
Plastic cups.
Plastic cups. Open the boot to the car, man. Just have a nice selection, and we'll get a delivery. We'll get a delivery.
We'll have to get it sorted. Otherwise, we don't want to upset anyone else because clearly, when we keep them happy, they play well. What about Jabir? Anyone get him on this week?
Nah, man.
Nope. You reckon?
Yeah, man. I'm not giving it to anyone. I am. I'm trying to think of anyone that maybe had a bad game, and I can't think of anyone.
I don't think anyone really did.
Szoboszlai doesn't deserve a Jabir for being under par. He still had a good game, but it weren't because we expect so much from him.
Yeah.
When he has a good game, we think he's had a bad game.
Yeah.
So, not for me, man. I'm going to give them all a break this week.
Good shout. I think they might need it as well. So I agree. I'll keep my hands in my pockets and I'll save it for next time they do some bond get. But
you agree? Yeah,
I'll let them off. They did well this week because I was very concerned. But
we need to think about whether we want to give it Jabir, whether we have to give one to someone. Because we are going to have games where they're going to all smash it, and then this segment's just going to go down the pipe.
Nah, because there's always going to be someone that needs a Jabir. Liverpool either win a game and get a red card, or they just win a game and just have someone that made the absolute howler throughout it. So, and when that happens,
didn't Klopp get a yellow card?
Well, of course he did. It's Klopp. He was fired up midweek. You could tell straight away that he was not happy. So.
I don't actually know what he got it for. I don't think he knew what he got it for.
Every single time he's cussing out the referee, isn't it? Or what he does, he's mutters under his breath. You can see he had the snoop.
Yeah.
He's always fuming, and you can just tell the fourth official's just got his eye on him every single time. But yeah, let's move on to a less of a high note from the game that we had before that in the Europa League. Not something we'd like to look back on, but I think sort of away from the game itself. It's more so the competition. Obviously, Liverpool 3-2 loss. They equalise at the end, gets ruled out, and they walk away having lost. Even though they're still top of the group, they're still comfortably probably going to go through. But do you think that games like that away, obviously a team that are sort of mid-table in France, are those games that we can expect going later into competition where it's difficult, where it's it's high scoring, it's counter-attack, and it doesn't matter that the team's form, we could sort of be caught on our heels and sort of punished for it?
Nah, don't buy that.
Okay,
don't buy that then. I'll tell you where I am with this. It's an unimportant game. We absolutely smashed them to bits at Anfield. Klopp thought, you know what, man? There's no point me putting my first team out because we know what happens if we need to beat them, we can beat them. Let the kids have a run out. Let's see how they get on. Give them some time. If we lose, I don't think he thought we were going to lose, but if we lose, there's no big deal. You know what I mean? Toulouse most likely going to be the second team in the group. We're going to be first. All we need is another couple of points. It's not, it was an experimental game.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not bothered about that result at all. The fact that we came back and it should have been 3-3, ridiculous handball decision. The fact that we came back to 3-3 after being down just again shows the character of the group, shows the ability that we've got if we need to bring some players off the bench. And we were away from home, hostile crowd, everything. And the fact that it was 3-2 and it was one of those kind of games, Thursday night, Europa League, insignificant. I'm not really bothered about it. I'm not bothered by it, not bothered about it, and fair play to Klopp for putting out the team he put out, because when else are the kids going to get a chance to run out?
Yeah, it's a very good point. But another thing is, normally Klopp likes to wrap things up as soon as possible. So do you think it was strange, considering the fact that obviously we're going into an international break? A win probably would have secured, the Europa League.
Yeah, I suppose there is that.
Then they become sort of games when you've got a long fixture list going up. Do you think that was in his mind, or you just think that because there was some strong players out on the pitch? Obviously, a lot of the first team candidates to play on the weekends played in the game. So it was quite surprising to me, obviously, the result, and he brings on the big guns too. So, do you think that maybe he should have just gone all out? And, as you said, he goes and then brings on the big guns, but should he have changed it, just got it over and done with?
Yeah, it's a good argument, to be fair. It probably would have been. Yeah, you're right. But I don't know. I don't know whether he's using this competition early doors to get minutes for players. Maybe he doesn't mind it. And the two other teams are shocking. So, you know what I mean? He could put out the kitchen stuff next game and probably pull out a result. You're probably right. You probably should have wrapped it up. But it's not the end of the world. Nowhere near the end of the world. It's not a massive factor. I think he does like having opportunities to put out as many of his players as he can to keep them happy.
Yeah.
He won't be making that mistake when we're in the knockout stages. I'll tell you that now.
Oh, yeah.
He won't be.
And I think that's the big point out of it, really, is we get to knockout stages. Obviously, it becomes a competition that you want to win. It becomes a competition where you have to put, first team players in. So what impact does that end up having? I think that's what we'll have to find out. And I think it'll be interesting to see how he manages the workloads of players in that time as well.
Does it work? Does it still work out the same way as the Champions League? If you finish second, you play the top team of another table.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, I believe so.
So we're better off obviously finishing first, aren't we? There's no point trying to finish second or anything like that.
I think, especially in that competition, obviously there's difficulty, and you don't know who could drop down from the
Champions League. Yeah.
So best just get top of the group, and at least that way you can be playing different teams.
I'm not worried about it. To be fair, I mean, are you bothered by it?
Not really. I think we said before that this tournament is to get minutes into legs. I think for me it was just more so the fact of it was quite surprising. Just didn't want to wrap things up, and I thought we've had the Luton game, get a reaction out of the players by playing them again and say go and get the result there. I think by not sort of putting that as a priority in that game.
Well, maybe that's why he had some of the first team players in there, because he was trying to wrap it up, but maybe they played better than he expected.
And I think that might have been the thing as well. They did play very well, and obviously to score 3 goals, and they had 2 disallowed as well.
Yeah.
So obviously they did play extremely well, and I think that's probably what caught him off guard. But as you said, I think that once the knockouts come around, he won't be making that mistake.
He won't be making those mistakes.
He's not naive in that sort of respect, and I think it'd be a good knockout stage when Liverpool do.
But that's the other side of the argument is he could have had his first team out. They could have absolutely smashed him to pieces, but then he could have got a couple of injuries.
Yeah,
and that would have just messed up.
I think that's probably what he was worried about mostly, injuries with the run we've got going on. And we
don't want any players to be out for 7 years like Thiago. You know what I mean?
No, God no, mate. I mean, he might not never come back at this rate, but we'll have to wait and see when he's back, if he's back, and if he isn't, where he ends up next. But
he's got his 100 cap at the doctor's surgery, hasn't he?
I mean, honestly,
Breaking records.
and now they're saying January back, and it's just, I love the man. I really do. I think he's one of our best players, but
You know what it is? I know. I figured it out.
here we go.
Conspiracy corner. So, come on then. When's the stadium gonna be finished?
Allegedly in the new year.
When's Thiago allegedly coming back?
In the new year.
They messed up with the builders, didn't they? They've got Thiago helping out.
You've just turned Thiago into the most Desi banda
Into a
ever.
mystery. Turn it into a mystery.
Mystery. They said, "Oi, Bandara, you got no good day.
It's not a mystery. It's a mystery.
Go get the cement and stop putting some itar together."
I'm telling you, that's what he's. That's
Might
what
be
he's.
on- what happens when the players get injured? They just go, "Oi, kutia, jacket can't."
You know what happened a few weeks ago? Remember when he came on and Nunes was about to come on and Nunes gave him a kiss on the head and Klopp looked at him like, what's going on here? From that moment, he thought, all right, mate, you're going on the building site, you are.
Getting too pally. Maybe.
These journalists do not know what we know, I'm telling you.
I think you might be onto something there. Maybe that's what, but to be fair, if it's beautifully done, then we know Thiago was involved. The man's an architect.
We just baited him out now, though, innit?
That could be it. You might be on something. I'm not going to deny the conspiracy theory, but yeah, we might have to keep that.
I appreciate you acknowledging my bullshit.
Yeah, someone's got it there, haven't they? Otherwise, there's no point being it. But just as sort of like a final summary, then, we talked about, the last international break, this being a long stretch of games, important stretch of games. We're sat here now at the next international break. Man City on the horizon, 1 point behind them. Obviously, we mentioned, Spurs doing really well, Arsenal hot on our heels too. How do you look at Liverpool's, stretch in between this time? A good few wins in there, a tough loss as well, and then as well sort of being a few draws too.
I think you can't knock where we are. We're 1 point off Man City, second in the league. We've won the matches we needed to win. We've dropped. Obviously, we could have been top of the table if we didn't drop stupid points. The one and only loss we've got is Tottenham, which was a dodgy game.
Yeah.
The draw against Brighton, probably well deserved. Brighton played well. Luton, really low blocking game. Yeah. So that was another draw. And the rest of them we've won, haven't we? Those are the only points that we've dropped.
And then obviously Europa League.
No. 2 draws and a loss, isn't it? Yeah. Is that it?
Yeah.
So those 3 games are, the Luton one probably out of the 3 is the most frustrating.
Mm-hmm.
The Tottenham one, man, you can't even knock them because they were down to 9 men and the game was just a joke. So I don't even count that as a loss, if I'm honest. And we're above Tottenham now anyway, so that 3 points that they got from us means absolutely nothing. Happy days at the moment. We go. What's the rule of the last 5 years? Do not let Man City run away with it. And at the moment, we're hot on their tail, so we're doing what we can do without playing to our best ability.
Yeah.
So, I'm happy. I'm happy so far.
And I think the big thing for me is we've seen Chelsea, a team that have struggled all season, a team that we got a draw to, a team that then...
that was the other draw.
They go and sort of get, a big result against them, a high-scoring game where they just went... they obviously conceded goals, but they still went for them. Same with us, really. They just went for us and pretty game, but they still got the goals that they wanted. So I think that's a perfect time for that sort of archetype to come out now that Liverpool have got a week, 2 weeks to study it, plan and come up with it for a game that I think we've always said in the past few years, if you beat City and you win those games, you're in a great position to go and win and challenge for that title at the end of the day. It's something that has always been our downfall is we either draw to them or we just beat them or we lose to them. And I think it changes and completely shifts the momentum in title race when it comes to that. And I think that this City game, obviously it's early on in the season, but it could play a massive role in, the teams around us. And I think it'd be interesting how Klopp sets up the team now with the players he's got. He's tested it for weeks. He's figured out how the players work. And I think this is the best time, to be using the information that we've seen to make sure we get this one.
So it's always interesting, isn't it? Because they're 1 point ahead. We play them, we beat them. We're 2 points ahead of them. We play them, we lose. We're 4 points behind.
Yeah.
And then it starts looking like a gap.
Yeah.
So I mean, a draw would be, I suppose, ideal as well.
Yeah.
If you can't beat them, draw to them. Just don't let them beat us.
Yeah.
And get that 4 point cushion. Come on, let's be honest, man. What do you reckon with this game?
I don't know how to predict it, to be honest with you. I think it's one of those games.
It's away, so it's not Anfield Fortress where I would be a bit more confident.
Yeah.
So go on. What are they? What are their strengths in, and how can we counter them?
I honestly think we have to go for them. I know that Liverpool like to sort of sit back sometimes against City, and teams like to do that. And it's sustainable for half an hour, but they just pass you to death. And then by the end of it, it doesn't matter. Somehow they get a goal, and it's just it's not enjoyable to watch to any degree. And I just think
not Klopp, sorry. Van Dijk versus Haaland. Let's break it down. Van Dijk versus Haaland. Do you think he can cope?
Van Dijk's got a good read on it. If Konate's in that line and next to him, there's no issues there when it comes to it. I just think the main thing is where
Jack
Trent
Grealish against Trent.
Well, it could be Doku against Trent, and he absolutely tear him.
Yeah.
Alvarez just playing as like almost a shadow.
What does he do then? Does he still stick to a back four with Trent in it?
I think. Well, that's the interesting thing, isn't it? What does he look at? Because if you look at Chelsea, obviously Reece James plays there. But they sort of had a thing where the midfielders are dropping out wide, and they really got that same thing where it's Reece James come infield, they are sort of flat for whatever they're playing. But I think that's where you win and lose games. And if you look at when Liverpool have beaten City, it's games where they've gone for them and they've got that early goal. I look at when I look at the one where we beat them at Anfield as well. You have to get that early goal. You have to go, and you just have to.
They open up a lot more when they're chasing again. They open up.
And I think that's the main. And you've got to take your chances. Simple as. If you don't take your chances, that's Núñez becomes the difference for me, because we know Haaland, he can turn it on and he can, win a game just by a tap in. But Núñez could be a game changer. Because
I always think Salah turns into a beast during these games.
But the problem is that they just put 2 on him every single game. That's where Liverpool always struggle, because in those games,
but he loves a little tussle.
He loves,
and he's going to be playing against Haaland, who is his, goal scoring competition for the season. They're not far off each other. I mean, I know he's got more assists, so he might bag a couple more assists, but I think he'll be on his top game. Yeah. Van Dijk's going to obviously want to prove a point. And Becker's always going to be Becker. I think he'll have a lot more shots to save this game. I'm worried about Trent and Tsimikas.
Yeah, I think that's where it could be interesting. Obviously, Gvardiol makes a mistake to give Chelsea the goal this weekend, and that was sort of a big point in the game. And I think that he's going to need a lot of help in that midfield, and McAllister as well. I can see there being red cards all over the place in that game.
Is
City,
he back, McAllister? Is it just a one match?
It was one game back, yeah. So I think it was the best time for him to get that yellow card, to be honest with you. It'll be interesting if he does play. How is he going to cope with? Because I don't think he will. I just don't think he'll be able to cope with, that City midfield, that City attack, and I just don't think it's for him to play. And to be honest with you,
fullbacks are worrying me. Central mid's worrying me. I think Szoboszlai is going to put on an absolute show.
I think Gravenberch is the perfect when 2 players we need in the midfield for the game. But the CDM, can you throw in Endo in there? Is it too pronounced for him? But I just don't think McAllister will have it in him to play in that game. I just think it's going to be a bit too much for him. Too much of out of position. You make a mistake, they're on you, sort of thing.
Well, you're not outplaying the Man City midfield. You're not outplaying them.
And I think that's the concerning thing is, will Klopp try and match up to that? And I just don't think McAllister will be able to do that, to be honest with you.
Who would you match him up though with? What would be our midfield to match up with Man City's?
That's the whole issue, though, isn't it? What I mean? You can't.
Your opinion.
I just think you've got to throw Endo in and just hope and pray to God that he can just sit and get us through it, because I just don't think McAllister's going to be able to cope when he's got Alvarez sitting on his shoulder and then he's got 2 midfielders in front of him on him. I think it's going to be a really tough tactical battle. And obviously, we know Pep could just spring a tactical surprise and throw 2 banks of 4 behind the attack, and it could just be the weirdest game. But I think this international break's come at the best time, and I think
them letting in 4 goals has come at a good time as well. We know that we can score.
Yeah.
Because normally they're quite solid with their defense, and if they are losing or if they are drawing, it's never a high scoring game. But that 4-4 with Chelsea has opened up a little bit of a gap.
100%.
I mean,
yeah.
So it'll be interesting.
We'll save this for next pod because we don't want to get too ahead of ourselves.
Okay, I'll take it.
You know what I mean? Shit, you got to relax, man. Are you getting me stressed out already? I don't want to be City running at us. You know what I mean? This is my mental break from it all. But I agree with you. I think there's so much that is worth looking at in this game. It's going to be, to me, I think it could be the game of the season. At Man City, as you said, I just think with the way the title race is shaping up, the fixtures we have ahead, December we've got the likes of United, we've got Newcastle. I think this is the game that Liverpool really need to make sure they turn up for.
Yeah, man. Agree.
On a more sort of happier note as well. So a few rumours we'll finish off on. Mr. Jurgen Klopp and Mohamed Salah are obviously enjoying their time at Liverpool. Obviously, we know Klopp had said that he was staying until 2024, and then he said he was going to stay a bit longer. But there's talks of Mo Salah and Klopp wanting to sort of extend their time at Liverpool. We'd mentioned before the whole thing of you could tell in Klopp that he's really enjoying himself. Obviously, Firmino comes out in his book recently and talks about how there was tension between Salah and Mane. Obviously, Mane goes. I think Salah is enjoying himself a lot more in an egotistical way as being the main man really in that attack. And I think that is what you can tell. He's getting paid for it and he's enjoying the role. So what do you make of these rumours? Do you think it's positive when we talked about a lot, Salah, £250 million offers for, or do you think that, it might be time for him to move elsewhere?
The more and more this season goes on, the more and more I think he's made a brilliant decision staying. Watching some of the crowds in Saudi Arabia, watching football matches, the hype's gone already. They've literally. I think they like the hype of having the player, doing the introduction and doing the unveiling, and all that hype and all the fireworks and jazz, and then all of a sudden it just goes back to normality. People are going to go to work and they don't really give a shit about the football match, and crowds of 1,000, 2,000. What is Salah going to do with a crowd like that? Fair enough, he might have about first 10, 15 games where everybody comes out in their thousands, but here, he's already a legend. He's already a legend. He's going on and breaking all the records that are standing. His name is literally, when you look at the record books, it's going to end up being Salah. Yeah. Klopp's probably giving him the same talk that he gave to Coutinho, but maybe Salah is listening. This geezer, if he carries on the way he's going, give him another 2-3 seasons at this level, they'll end up putting a flipping statue outside.
100%. And he would deserve it.
That good. Yeah. He's breaking all the records, man.
And you think if he delivers another Premier League title,
exactly,
it's cements. Obviously, one was amazing being part of that this season.
Yeah.
Another, if you think another Champions League, just incredible for him. I agree with you with that. And I think,
again, money wise, I know 250 million sounds like a lot of money, but I'm pretty sure the amount of money he brings in from the Middle East shirt sales, I think it's nowhere near 250. I think it's a way higher. So I don't think getting rid of him is a good business move either. So record wise, he needs to stay. We need him, and I think he wants to go down as a Liverpool legend as well.
Yeah, and I don't think Klopp would want to leave, or would stay longer if he knew that Salah had gone. Obviously, he adores him, and I think he knows how big of a part Salah plays. He's the ultimate professional, really. You've got a man that doesn't smoke, doesn't drink, just lives and breathes football, play most of the games in a season. Like, how you build your team around that man, which you already have. Yeah. And if you've got a player like that, who could play for God knows how many years yet.
No, he is in good condition. He's got a good 2 years yet.
And you just think, well, if that's the case, why wouldn't you want to stay longer? And I think, like we've said, the happiness, you can feel that. He's always talked about that as Klopp. And, when Klopp Mama's happy, we're happy. Long may it continue, I say.
Because he's still at the peak of his game and he's up front and he's still got his pace. Can you imagine if he like slowed down a little bit and Klopp just dropped him back a bit?
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Let's say he played behind Nunes
Yeah, he's played
and
through the
became a
middle.
supplier. You know what I mean? Like a number 10. So there's still that aspect of his career to come, yeah. But at the moment, he's at the peak.
Yeah.
He's right at the top, and there's no need to look any further than where he is at the moment, which is just banging in goals left, right, and centre.
Definitely.
But
And
the rumours Klopp saying as well then.
definitely.
Extending.
I think, yeah, that's what they've been saying. I think talks of him staying a bit longer. Obviously, he's already extended once, but I think he's been happier with how the club's been run in the summer. Obviously, he had a lot more sort of control over the players that came in, and he got the players that he wanted. Obviously, there was a few that he missed out on, but he seems a lot happier. Obviously, the ownership and things like that, they've always seemed to get along in that extent, have that respect. So he's always said that Liverpool is home to him, and I think until he loses that passion, I think until Liverpool aren't able to compete, I just don't think he'll want to leave.
I think he's got a renewed sense of energy, hasn't he, this season? I mean, I think everyone has. I think if, let's say, his contract ended it was ending at last season, I don't think he would have renewed it. No chance. But the fact that he's got this new lease of life, a new challenge, he looks happy. The players look happy. The new stadium. The club were willing to back him with like £100 million for certain players. I can't see why he wouldn't want to stay.
Yeah, and I think seeing City win the treble as well, knowing that Liverpool could have won the quadruple the year before, I think that just ignite a fire within him, knowing that Liverpool were there, they could have made history, and you've seen one of the best alongside you do it. Why can't you do it again and just call it once and for all? And I think that might be another motivation for the players and for the team and for Klopp at the end of the day.
I want him to go a season unbeaten, man. Shut the Arsenal fans up as well.
I love him bloody ruined that when he kept banging on about it, and then he got sold the next morning. So I'll never forgive him for that.
Just on a side note, I know this isn't on the discussion list. Have you heard the rumours about Andre potentially not coming now, and he's not on the list?
Yeah, I've seen that.
What are your thoughts on that?
I mean, it's one of those where we've seen it a million times before. They were saying with Thiago, he's not coming, we're not interested, and blah blah blah. But I just think if there's no smoke without fire, there'd be no sort of there'd be no article about it if there was not.
If there wasn't some element of truth. But because he's only 30-40 million, and you think in the grand scheme of things, looking at his stats from like listening to podcasts and whatnot, his stats are like out of this world, man. For that league,
he guides Fluminense to that title.
Yeah, first one in their history. You know what I mean?
And he said that he didn't want to leave because he didn't want to leave the job and finish. That's the kind of player you want for your.
That's why I'm a little bit disheartened with that news. If I'm honest, I hope it's not true.
I think it'd be one of those things where they know there's a demand, they know there's a desire. A lot of Brazilian clubs have a set price for players because they know they're only going to get that money once when it comes to it. And I think that might be the case. So I think they'll get the deal done. And if they don't, I just know that they'll have a replacement in mind, and especially in January.
Well, I was kind of hoping they already had a deal in place and they just said, all right, you stay till the end of the season and we'll see you in January.
I think that's a surprise, but I think they didn't want to lock up. If they did that, Gravenberch deal doesn't go through at the end.
True. And I think that's one of the reasons they're saying he's potentially not coming now because Gravenberch has come.
But I think it's becoming clear now we need a CDM.
That's what I mean.
Fielder, 100%. It's not sustainable having McAllister there or hoping that Trent can cover that position. We need a CDM. We need it as soon as possible because every single team in the league, is built around a great CDM that has been, successful.
And he's South American as well. Our team is slowly becoming a South American team, which is amazing because you know what South American teams are like. Yeah. Very, very exciting teams to watch.
And I just think, what's the other options? Calvin Phillips, he's been sat on the bench for years. Southgate still picks him. What's the point?
Yeah, I'm not a big fan, if I'm honest. Even with that,
he was great a few seasons back, but you just haven't seen enough of him. You can't rely on him.
I was great a few seasons back, mate. You know what I mean? They're not going to sign
you. Keep going on about this. There's a difference between five-a-side football and the
Listen, I lifted a trophy that big playing five-a-side once. It was a white boot. It was at goals.
What were you,
I've
10?
played 2 games. I got a participation trophy.
Did you? And did you cherish that for the rest of your life?
I've got it somewhere in the attic.
Have you? Well, there you go then. I'm sure Calvin Phillips has got a few of them with all the trophy medals that City have been winning. So, but yeah, I think Liverpool obviously will have contingencies in place. I think they've identified the weakness in the team, and I just think it's an exciting time, to be the fans that we are. We've had the tough times last season, and I think
It's an exciting time now, isn't it? Unknown time because we're playing with not really knowing what to expect.
No.
We know the Klopp style, but it's kind of like Klopp 2.0, isn't it? There's a bit of a difference to this team.
Definitely.
But we'll see, man.
What a great week! Obviously losing and then coming away with a win and going into international break with a win. It's what we want. And now we will turn attention next week on the Aapna Reds podcast to the big one, the fixture against Man City. We know that most people's eyes will be on that. We know that our eyes will be on that. And we know that could be the difference in the end between Liverpool being Premier League champions or missing out on another title to the Man City lot. So please join us next week for another edition of the Aapna Reds podcast. Thank you for tuning in this week. And as always, thank you very much, Anil. We always love your contributions and we always love your stories of trophies at goals and everything like that. We'll get you a new one for the end of this season with your predictions and everything.
We'll have to get one for this, innit?
Yeah, we'll sort that one out. Thank you, everybody, and we'll see you next week
worries.
on our Reds podcast.
See you in a bit.